Hello, today I'm going to teach you how to play Texas Hold'em poker. One of the essentials you will need to play Texas Hold'em is poker chips, which always come with a deck of playing cards. Texas Hold'em is one of the most popular card games in the whole world, and it is continuing to grow today. First thing I would like to show you is the card ranks. Ranking from lowest to highest. Here's the worst hand possible, which is ace high. That's the worst possible 5-card hand you could have. The next possible hand that you could have is a pair, which is any two cards that are the same. In this case, two queens. That's the second worst hand. Next we have two pair, which would be any four cards that would, any two that match twice. So in this case we got two twos and two fives, making two pair. The next hand we have is three of a kind. Any three of the same number. In this case we have 3 nines. The next hand we have is a straight, which would be any 5 cards in sequential order. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the straight. The next hand we have is a flush, which would be any 5 cards of the same suit. And next we have the full house, which would be 3 of one number and 2 of another. In this case we have 3 kings and 2 jacks. The next hand, which is not very common, but sometimes you do see it, is 4 of a kind. In this case we have 4 sixes. And the next two are very rarely seen, but sometimes they do happen. In this case we have a straight flush, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is basically a straight and a flush, but they are all the same suit and all in numerical order, making it straight flush. And the last one, it is very rarely seen, but sometimes it happens, is the ultimate hand of them all, the royal flush. Next, I'm going to talk about the rules of Texas Hold'em poker. No matter what type of Texas Hold'em you might be playing, there's no limit, pot limit, fixed limit. There will always be blinds, which are the small blind and the big blind. The small blind and the big blind are forced actions from the dealer, from the two players left of the dealer. The small blind would be, in this case we'll just use 1 chip, and then the big blind is always double that, so it would be 2 chips. And the big blind is always the minimum bet, so if you wanted to bet, you would have to bet at least 2 chips. You can't bet 1. Okay. In Texas Hold'em, you will always be the 2 cards face down, which are called the hole cards, which in this case we could say that I got these as my hole cards, which isn't a bad hand. Next, there will be a round of betting, which begins with the player to the left of the big blind, and whoever that might be will have the option to call, raise, or fold. This sequence happens every hand as the dealer changes, so do blinds. So if I am next to the person that's the big blind, my options would be to call the 2 chips, raise, which means I could put in more than 2 chips, or I would fold, which means just get rid of your cards, and the hand would continue to the person next to you, and the person next to them, and so on, and they would all be able to do the same as you, which would be call the 2 chips, raise more than 2 chips, or fold. Once all the players are ready to begin the hand, the dealer will then burn 1 card face down and flip 3 cards face up. In this case, I'll put 1 down, and I will face up 3, which these would come up. And they will all be face up for everyone at the table to see, and anybody at the table could use those 3 combined with their 2 that they have in their hand. And then next, after another sequence of betting and folding and whatnot goes on, the dealer will then burn another card and then put another card face up for everybody to use, which would be a check. And then after that, another sequence of betting, folding, and whatever would happen. Then the dealer would burn another card and bring another one face up. This is the last card, which is called the river, and that will be the final card. Then all the players will get to do the same: bet, check, call, fold, and after that, whoever's left in the hand, we usually call it the showdown, which is where the players show their cards to make the best possible 5-card hand from the 5 cards that they put out: the flop, the turn, and the river, and their 2 whole cards, which were the 2 cards they got in the beginning. And that would make the first person, or that would make the person who has the highest 5-card hand would win the pot, which is where they put all the blinds and all the bets and raises and whatnot. That's what they put it into. They call it the pot. So that's what you would win. And now I'm going to show the basic gameplay of Texas Hold'em poker. I'm going to deal some cards out, shuffle them up real quick. Okay. Put 2 over here, 2 over here. Okay. So, I dealt out the cards, and for my hand, I got this, and for my opponent, they got this. In this case, if you were playing heads up, I would, since I'm the dealer is always the small blind, and then the other person you're playing with would have to be the big blind, because no matter what, there always has to be a small blind and big blind. So he would put his 2 chips in, I would have my 1, and I have my option to call, fold, or raise. And in this case, I would put my 1 in, I'll call, put it into the pot, and he has the option, big blind, to either check, raise, or if for some reason he wanted to fold, even though it would be free, just to check and see the flop. Sometimes people do that if they really don't like their hand, but in this case he would just check. So I would burn 1 card, like I said earlier, and put out 3, which are the flop. And here's the flop that came out: 10 of hearts, 2 of hearts, and a king. Neither of us right now have anything. So I would check, and so would he, most likely. And the next card, the turn, after I burn one, is a jack, which now gives me a pair. So I would bet the pot. I'll put in 4 chips, and then he would call if he chooses to. He doesn't have to. He could fold. In this case, he would probably call. So he puts his 4 into the pot, and then we go to the final card, which is river. Burn another card face down, bring another face up, and the final card is a 6, which gives my opponent a pair. He has 4 6 of clubs, but I still have jack 5. So I would probably just check. He would check, and I would end up winning the hand with my pair of jacks. Here's a 5 that came out. Here's my hand, jack. So I would have a pair of jacks, and he would have a pair of 6s, which means I would have the higher hand. And finally, I hope that now you can understand the basics of Texas Hold'em poker, and maybe someday you even try your luck when you find yourself at the casino. Thank you.